What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven here with a very festive afternoon snap today. For the 4th of July, I'm going to put together a red, white, and blue deck for Marvel Snap. So first, let's see what red cards we have. There's actually a bunch of them, but these are not actually red cards. I'm just talking about Red Guardian, Omega Red, Red Skull, and Red Hulk. These other cards, okay, Dare Red Devil. I could see putting that in. That's kind of cheeky. These other cards have the word reduced in their text. So that is not super on theme, but you know what? I'll add Mobius in. Mobius is a good enough card, and I think I'm going to be struggling to fill out this deck regardless. Let's move on to the white cards next. I do not own White Widow, unfortunately. So we're going to have to fill this one out with just White Queen and White Tiger. And blue should be even more sparse. Yeah, just Blue Marvel and then Cerebro showing here because it is a Blueprints variant. All right, let's throw Blue Marvel in. From here, we're gonna have to get a little bit more creative. We can throw in the Americas, both the Chavez and Captain variety. I do not own US Agent either, so that's unfortunate. And you know what? If you just move around some of these letters in America a little bit, yeah, you get RSM. I think that works. And you know what? RSM just came out. We gotta play RSM. It's the sweetest new card in Marvel Snap. That's gonna make all of this come together. And you know what? I think I can get away with a Loki here as well because I have this Vote Loki variant. I thought a fun way to organize this content would be to look at games that I won with red cards, games that I won with white cards, and then games that I won with blue cards. And I won a lot with the red cards. There's a bunch of them, and there's some pretty good ones. Though this game was really fun because I get really lucky that Dr. Octopus flips over my Destroyer first, and then Red Skull is going to allow me to grab an easy win in Asgard. And my opponent does put out a pretty decent fight on the final turn, and I also wasn't able to fill up the raft, so I'm not just gonna have an easy win here, but because I am winning in Asgard still, thanks to Red Skull, I will be able to drop Crossbones in that location, and my opponent just isn't going to be able to catch up to me in Collapsed Mine without a Shang-Chi. Fastos plus Hope allows my opponent to play Ultron plus Kyera, but it's not quite gonna be enough. Here was a game I won with white cards. First, White Queen gives me another copy of Red Hulk, and then I'm gonna play White Tiger into Nidavellir, which does a pretty good job. We get the plus 5 points from Nidavellir, and then we get to make an 8-point Tiger, which also gets an additional plus 5 points because it lands over in Atlantis. And I probably should Enchantress my opponent's Wong here. However, if I'm not using both of these Red Hulks, am I really using White Queen? So I feel like I have to play out both of these Red Hulks here. So my opponent is able to spew out a pair of Tiger Spirits, and they also have a Shang-Chi for my Red Hulk. But our Tigers are tied over in Atlantis, and I'm actually not losing by that much in Daily Bugle, so Red Hulk plus America Chavez plus the additional 10 points from playing my cards into Nidavellir will grab me the win. Here is another game using white cards to win, this time with White Widow, thanks to RSM. That's one of the reasons that I'm playing RSM. I mean, I'm definitely also just playing it because it's fun and it's allowing me to win these games because RSM definitely carrying me for a lot of the work here. But I have a really cool idea for this game. I'm snapping on turn 1. Do you see it? It's kind of a weird play, but what I can do here is I can use White Widow to give my opponent a Widow's Kiss, and then use Super Scroll to copy that Widow's Kiss ability. I'm also going to copy my opponent's Ravonna, which will allow me to win in Bar with No Name. So a really, really cool play here. Living Tribunal plus Mindscape Winds up making things a little bit awkward though, because now my opponent can play Living Tribunal and then I get a Living Tribunal effect as well. So this game could get a little bit dicey. On turn 5, of course, my opponent has no clue that I'm about to give them the Living Tribunal, but they see that I'm winning Bar with No Name super easily right now, so their plan is to use Nico to change that location. And that could have been good if they didn't know about the Living Tribunal here, but it winds up being very awkward for my opponent, who has a lot of cards in their hand right now, by the way, thanks to Adam Warlock, but all of those cards, all of those options are now coming to me thanks to Mindscape, and I know exactly what my opponent can do this turn, which is just play Living Tribunal. So I just play Red Hulk and Quinjet. That way I'm covered either way. If my opponent plays Living Tribunal, then I'm covered, and if they don't play Living Tribunal, then I'm still battling for Dream Dimension. They're gonna wind up playing it, and we just barely eke out a victory. The blue wins were a little bit harder, so let's come back to those in just a moment, but I thought this game was funny. It doesn't actually use any of the cards in the deck list that are red, white, and blue. It just uses Mobius, and all of the other cards that I have here are from Arishem, but I'm able to play turn 3 Legion thanks to the Superflow plus Arishem's extra energy. So I Legion Murder World because I gave my opponent a free blob with my Gladiator. Now, unfortunately, they didn't play anything this turn. I don't know if they knew this Legion was coming, so they still have a few cards left in hand, and they wind up coming back to win the game. This was another just random play that I thought was sweet, and this one actually we do not have any red, white, or blue cards, even Mobius, but I still thought it was a really fun play. I'm gonna Professor X in Mojo World, kind of knowing that I'm going to wind up losing that location, but also knowing that I can steal that location back with War Machine on the final turn of the game. And War Machine, with that, I'm going to battle for Ruins. And if I can get enough of a lead in Ruins, then I should be able to secure this game with Leader plus Ant-Man on the final turn. I do briefly think about, should I play War Machine so that way I've got a lead in Los Diablos, but I think the best play here is to just go for a greater victory in the location where we're tied currently. So now I'm up by 6 in Ruins, and I can play Leader plus Ant-Man. I'm actually going to change that to Leader plus America, and this way I will have a win in Mojo World that my opponent cannot disrupt, and if they play their biggest card in Ruins, then I'll grab that too. The only way that they can get out of this game is by playing 7 power in Ruins and then an 8 power card over in Los Diablos, or an equivalent to that. So that is not what is going to happen, so we will be able to steal that Arishem. The Kingpin is not going to overcome it, and we grab the win. Winning with a blue card was a lot trickier than I thought it was going to be. I tried to Red Guardian the Ant-Man here, by the way. That was almost really sweet, but now I am losing an Asteroid M, but I'm losing an Asteroid M by the perfect amount because I can overcome that deficit with my Blue Marvel. However, what kept happening in games where Blue Marvel seemed good is either like I had already won the game by enough already with my other cards, or my opponents would steal my Blue Marvel. My opponent played a Loki and they wind up playing my Blue Marvel, which is definitely a bummer because now I can't win that location back. But I will say, playing with a bunch of bad cards in a Loki meta is pretty cool because then your opponent winds up stealing cards like White Queen and Blue Marvel and Omega Red. Meanwhile, you get to steal the better cards if you Loki them back. Unfortunately, this game was Super Scroll. Again, I can't really drop the Blue Marvel, but I can use Red Guardian to turn off my opponent's Super Scroll, which is enough to grab me the win here. This game, I am able to play a Super Scroll and then copy it with Mystique, both stolen from my opponent with a Loki, And I think the best play this turn is probably Iron Man into Project Pegasus, and then I've got a bunch of Onslaught activations there, but I could also go for Blue Marvel, why not? My opponent just winds up retreating regardless, but still, I'm gonna count this one. This is Blue Marvel winning a game. And to round this video out, I've got one game that is just all about American goodness. We've got Captain America, and we have US Agent because my opponent is playing a Spectrum ongoing list. And we also have America Chavez, and we also have America Chavez from the Sacred Timeline. So we're just doing all of it here. This is really sweet, and this was also just a really cool game for a reason that you will see in a second after we flip over these cards in the Sacred Timeline. My opponent's card this turn is Dr. Octopus, so we're gonna fill up the Sacred Timeline twice in one turn and grab another America Chavez. We also grab 2 copies of Silver Surfer that I originally threw away with Loki, but now I can play double Silver Surfer into Kamartaj for an easy win. That's gonna be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.